to say about me. I love to sing and love ladies. Dean Martin wasn't just an actor or a singer. He was a whole mood. Cool, serene, and always in control. Headrank and ruled Hollywood with a joke on his lips. But underlying Thady had a life full of grief, loss, and he climbed to the summit while quietly suffering, but he had to pay a lot for it. From a difficult love life to the sad death of his son, and later his wife. The story of Dean's wife turned from glamour. It made me sick. Come with us as we take a look at the person behind the legend, his life, his love, and the sadness that accompanied him till his own death in 1895. Dean, the youngster from Steubenville-Lemerton, wasn't always known as Dean Martin. He was born Dino Paul Crocetti on June 7 in 1917 in Steubenville, Ohio. His family originated from Italy. His dad, Gaetano Crocetti, was a barber, and his Angela, the mother, was born in Ohio to Italian parents. Tino lived in a residence as a child where people only spoke Italian. In fact, he didn't learn English till he was 5 years old. Because of this, Dino had a hard time at school. He couldn't talk. He didn't speak English properly, so other kids made fun of him. He had a terrible time in school when he was little. He felt different. He said after Faith just didn't like school. He once joked that I had a bike and never skipped a meal, but I was just too smart for those teachers who work in schools. That lineage made people chuckle, but it also said anything more profound. He didn't want to feel like Heffet, and by the time he got to the 10th, he had enough. By the time he was in grade, he let it go out of school and left the room behind 4K. That choice led him down a very different route, one full of hard work hazards, and harsh occupations, battling for a future. Dino attempted when he left school to do what his father did. His dad wanted him to be a barber. Butino had a lot of other dish work little jobs to help out at the gas station, milkman and store clerk at Avadri. Booth wasn't excited about these employment. What boxing drew his eye. Dino began to fight as kid crochet. It was hard to make money, cash. He claims he fought in 12 fights and won all but 11, which implies he only won one. Even if he didn't win a lot, the experience left marks on the body. He got a fractured nose, a scar on his lip, and broken knuckles because Heckle didn't even be able to buy the hand wraps that boxers use most of the time used. But Dean wasn't simply fighting in the ring when he moved to New York City. He lived with someone else, Sonny King, struggling entertainer. Both young men were pursuing their ambitions, but they needed money to live. So they came up with the strange idea. They made their tiny abode into a sort of a secret fight club. They asked 4 people to watch them box with no gloves on right there in their own home. The fights would go on until someone got knocked out. Dean even knocked Sonny out. In the first round of a real fight. Ansabu, deep down, knew this wasn't the life he wanted. Getting hit every day was a real future. He needed to change, but he didn't know what yet. From rooms full of smoke to singing on Dino still on stage after quitting boxing had to get a job. He ended up at a place just as sinister as secret casino behind a store for tobacco. It was against the law, but it paid. He was a stick man at the roulette table and a black dealer. It was here in Thisamethan left the smoke-filled earth. What happened? Dino began to sing. At first, he only sang for his co-workers. People started to pay attention to his voice, though. It was smooth, warm, and full of charm. One time, Ernie was one of the persons who heard him. Is the head of a band in the area. He gave Dino a place in the band. Dinah said yes, and his life began to change. He started acting and singing the name at nightclubs all throughout Ohio. Dino Martini. Inspired by an opera vocalist Martini Nino, he joined Sammy in 1938. Watkins, another famous bandleader. Watkins took him on tour and provided him own piece of advice that would change his future. Todd Dean, change your name, Martin. And he did. Dean was living in New York and doing shows all the time. But it wasn't easy. He had to put up a lot of effort to be noticed. And he had to continually changing how people see him. He wasn't just making a name for themselves in music. He was making a character, and that person would soon become famous all around the world. As Dean Martin's act got more attention as he become more famous. Head wasn't only a singer, he put on a show. He would stroll on stage with a drink off whiskey, always looks calm and smooth. He acted like he was merrily there to have a good time, but that act wasn't anything he thought of. He mimicked the way it looked from a man named Phil Harris, a performer who made his name by being a woman who drinks a lot and chases a showman. Dean Math still looks like his own. His supporters liked him for it. He turned in top people call him the king of cool, yet what people saw on the outside didn't always match what they saw on the inside, didn't match what was going on inside. Dean was quiet. He didn't say much, especially when there are a lot of people there. In an unusual interview with Oriana Felici he told everyone in 1967 why they thought he was arrogant and full of myself. I wasn't, he said. I don't know what to say to people. I didn't know how to speak well. He had become a star in English though, star. His problems with language from still felt out of place because of his childhood. In the wrong place. That's why he often came back. Quiet. People didn't get him. They felt he was chilly or distant. Booth was actually simply shy. And that shyness never really went away. He had a rich life of difference. He felt sure of himself. On stage. And amusing. He was calm off stage and he wasn't sure. But he never forgot where he came from. That blend of hard starts, that inner conflict remained with him for the rest of their lives. Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin in August of 1944. The life of Dean Martin went in a new direction. He meets a young comical Jerry Lewis at the Belmont Plaza Hotel, New York. Dean was on stage at Glass Hat Club at the hotel when he saw Teddy said, "Hey, I saw your act. You are a funny kid." That one thing began a collaboration that would last for the next 10 years. Dean and Jerry got buddies right away. They got together into their people's actions and made a team. Their first show together was in Atlantic City at the 500 Club on July 24th. 1946, but their first time didn't go well. The audience didn't laugh. Skinny D'Amato, the proprietor of the club, cautioned them they would be fired if the next show wasn't better. So Thiesh to the lay behind the club and came up with a new plan. Jerry would act like a bus that was clumsy. Boy, Jerry tried to sing while Dean would drop plates, casa chows, and Dean would toss bread rolls at him. It was scrawzy, stupid, and amusing, and the people in the crowd loved it. This new law changed their jobs. They made fun of each other with silly jokes and made up scenes on the spot. They didn't care about the people. They put up shows for each other. And that's what made people chuckle the most. The act got bigger. They had shows all the time. The East Coast. Their first big job was at the Copacabana in New York. They became popular in 1948. They did 30, but in the first episode of Ed the Sullivan Show, which was formerly dubbed The Toast Off Town, performing with famous Joy Rogers and Hammerstein. To make things better, they even employed young people to help them with their performance. Authors Norman Lear and Ed Simmons. These writers helped them get from nightclubs to radio and movies. In 1949, they made an agreement with Paramount to make a movie, For My Friend Ma, where they worked as comic relief. But the transaction came with freedom. The irreverent Abby Gressler made sure they could film one movie every year through their own business, York Productions. They also kept full control of their club shows, TV, radio, and record appearances. Thish helped them make millions in his book Dean and I. Jerry Lewis wrote that Dean was one of the best comic geniuses ever time. They were really close buddies. Jerry was Dean's best man when he got married. In the year 1949. But underneath the smiles, there were fissures. We're getting ready when the laughter started. Even if they were successful, things were not perfect. Critics began toward that their movies were too same. Dean grew bored with playing the same part in every movie he wanted. Mort began to devote less effort into theater performances while shooting Three Circus Ring in 1954. There was a picture put on the cover of Look magazine. It had Jerry Lewis and an actress in it, Cherie North, but Dean was not there. of the photo that pushed me over the edge. Their PR manager says that Jack Keller, Dean stormed onto the set holding the magazine. He tossed it in Keller's face, was cursed at. Jerry Lewis remembered that Dean's mood changed. One day, Dean added, anytime you went to if you want to stop, simply tell me. The fun was gone. Dean didn't feel like he was a member off of the show anymore. He said afterward, why? Why should I come in on time? I don't have anything to do. He thought he was just a background act, not an equal partner in the three-ring circus. Dean didn't even start singing for 35 minutes. To film, and when he did, it was an old tune. It's a large, beautiful world out there. Two animals. The partnership that Ansa felt amazing now that one city and stayed worked professionally till the contract was over. But the split happened 10 years to the day after July 25th, 1956. They worked together for the first time. Dean left silently, but with his head held high, life with the group of rats. After we went our separate ways with Jerry Lewis, Dean and slowed down, concentrated on acting and singing profession, and quickly became well known in Las Vegas. There, he joined a group of entertainers who went under the name of the Rat Pack. The Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis were on the crew. Joey Bishop and Peter Lafford, JRB. They were known for their fancy parties, late-night laughs, and alcohol. That group did love theater, wasn't precisely like the wildlife. To people who don't know, Dean looked like the most wild of them all. Sinatra once made a joke, got a tan since he went to a bar with a skylight, but that wasn't the case in real life. Den didn't like to party very much, while the rest of the group stayed out to dointle the next morning. Dean was generally the first to go. He preferred to do things his own way. Tom Dryan was a comedian who opened for Dean's calm approach. According to Sinatra, Frank often got angry, but with time Sinatra held him in higher regard because fit. Dean wasn't attempting to fit in. He did it, what seemed right to him. Frank and Dean had a close friendship. The daughter of Deanna, Ansa, told people to see them on stage together was great since you could feel in their eyes the reverence for each other. Their friendship wasn't simply for families that were more showy, were also tight. They were more like brothers than just friends, co-stars, but even close pals can put to the test. The cocktails and the mo backed behind the man Dean Martin might have become a polished Hollywood star, yet his before stardom, the past was not clean at all. Had been a bootlegger and event-fit in bare-knuckle boxing contests. So when he started to work for the mob-linked crowds with the Rat Pack, wasn't shaken like other people he had seen. Already witnessed the bad side of life, while Frank Sinatra had very dark eyes with the mob and most of the Rat Pack stayed. Dean was polite and quiet around gangsters, didn't follow their rules. After O'Neill, a gang of mobsters came up during the show to him and said, "We want to thank you for." Dean didn't smile. "He helped us out." Just looked them right in the eye. She said, "No, I did it for Frank," and went away from that brave old time. Shutadian's history hadn't made him weak. It gave him no fear. Dean also had image in the public eye that made him look like a big drinker. People virtually always saw him on stage with the drink of whiskey in hand. Other members of the Rat Pack. Sammy Davis, JRB, is a member, said as a joke, "If this doesn't fix me, nothing will." But in reality, the hearth glass held Martinelli's apple juice. It was all part of the show. Dean slurred the way he talked and acted drunk were false. That Patty Grebo, his backing singer, said it was just a concert. That Jerry Lewis Backetian himself said so in an interview told the Saturday Evening Post, that they drank roughly 1/10 of what I did. Speaking of which, Dean Martin's voice wasn't the only thing that made him charming. It wasn't how easy it seemed for him. Martin program when NBC gave him his own show. Dean agreed to a variety program in the mid-1960s, but he warned them it would only be on his terms. He only wanted to work on Sundays, practice, and wanted to be in charge of the show after it had been on once. Yes, Enkai. And did you know that Dean didn't go rehearsals? He had a stand instead of go through the whole routine with guests and dancers. If their Dean would watch TV if there wasn't a football game on. see the rehearsal on a screen from his room to get dressed. But when the Camerazdian was there, calm and relaxed when the cameras rolled, and completely in charge, fit display thief. Dean Martin show was on from 1965 to 1974, and got 40 million people to watch. People I loved how natural he looked. Dance explained why this program is a hit, since I'm up there on that display. There is nothing fake about it. That's truly me. He got really chill. That even Elvis Presley looked up to him. Even though Elvis was tense, friendship with performers like Sinatra, he liked Dean, who was one of Elvis singers who were famous in the early 1950s. Elvis Dean even sang, and everyone adores him. Someone at a concert with Dean in Theaton may not have been a member of the audience. He didn't read much, but he loved comic books. And in fact, the only book I ever read all the way through was Beauty in Black. He once observed, "If you have you don't have Tob, so good luck." That line was a fantastic compliment for his laid-back image. He read comics far into his adult years. One of the rare times he was stern was when met Bob Kane. The man who made Dean and Batman even had their own show, comic book series starring Jerry Lewis as Thierseries. Dean Martin's exploits and Gerald Wyss ran for 40 issues from 1952 to 1957. A calm star with a lot of weight in 1987. Dean's life was turned upside down by tragedy. Son Dean Paul Martin died in a plane crash. Dean was heartbroken. He pulled back from a lot of things, like his being friends with Sinatra. He even walked during their tour. At that point, the start of distance. Later, Tom Dries said that this was the time when two people began to move apart from each other.